Hey guys, so today we're going to be trying something new. We're going to be doing a Reddit no sleep scary story instead of a regular boring voiceover, which I'm terrible at. We're going to be reading I Found a Secret Room Under My Kitchen. I think something lives there, by Dopabeane, I believe is how it's pronounced. Let's get into this. I bought a house a few months ago. It was ridiculously cheap and big. And I mean huge, a spiritual ancestor to the modern-day McMansion. Best of all, I could make some extra money by renting out the mother-in-law's apartment and the master suite, which has both a balcony and a sauna. I love it. It isn't perfect. The master bathtub leaks, the electrical outlets are wonky, and a tribe of raccoons lives in the balcony turret. The biggest problem, however, is the kitchen floor. It's made of oak floorboards, according to the realtor. It was laid in 1939, 2 years after the house was built. I don't know what the floor was made of prior to that, or why it matters, but she emphasized the little factoid several times. Whoever lived here before me started to replace it, and apparently gave up halfway through. They tried putting everything back together, which disastrous results. Dozens of inexpertly applied coats of varnish and lacquer pool unevenly across the boards, trapping layers of dog hair, spilled spices, and dust. Specimens of mundane domesticated trapped like mosquitoes in amber. It looked awful, a bit like a frozen sea, but with the lacquer's uneven waves and smelled weird, a little moldy, a little rotten, and a little sweet, especially on warm days. So I decided that replacing the kitchen floor would be my inaugural home improvement project. I tore up the floor last Saturday, starting at 7. By 8, it was clear that I had 2 kitchens. That's right, underneath the tragically miscued floorboards was a whole other room. It was shallow, maybe 7 feet deep, with a wood floor of its own. The boards were worn to splinters in some places, soggy and blooming with mold in others. I glimpsed a small table surrounded by chairs, an old-fashioned oven, and a tiled counter. Chintzy wallpaper provided the final absurd touch. Honestly, I was over the moon. My house had a whole secret room. It was a childhood dream come true. I dragged my ladder into the house and carefully eased it down into the second kitchen. It hit one of the moldy spots and sank unpleasantly before settling. I climbed down eagerly, accidentally stepping in the moldy mush. Grimacing, smeared my shoe across a dry patch of floor and commenced exploration. The room spanned the entire length of the house. The kitchenette bled into the living area with a small rug, sofa, and end table. Beyond that lay 4 rusty bed frames, topped with mattresses, in varying states of decay. The floor around the beds was black and spongy with rot. Every step left an indent behind that quickly pooled with an oily substance. Past the beds was an empty stretch of floor. The boards quickly gave way to hard-packed dirt. I couldn't tell if they were buried or if they had never been finished in the first place. At the very back of the room, flush against the wall, was a bookshelf. I tromped over eagerly. I love reading. I love books, and I love antiques. Maybe this would be covariant of all 3. But no. To my immense disappointment, the shelf was empty except for a single title, thin, wide, and rectangular, obviously a picture book. I picked it up curiously. It looked almost new, with the kind of unremarkable glossiness I associated with elementary school libraries. The gray dust cover bore 4 fuzzy, child-shaped silhouettes. Each figure had round eyes and carried long sticks. The art style was weirdly charming, somewhere between Quentin Blake and Lane Smith. The abstruse title arced over the shadow children. The people who come after you. Excitement pulsed again. Maybe this was a scary kid's story, or at least a playfully gory romp of La Ronald-Dahal. The spine creaked as I opened it. It was empty, no words or illustrations to be seen. Blank black pages gently reflected my flashlight beam. I flipped to the back. On the very last page were 2 lines, neon green ink, over dark paper. The people who come after you are the people who come after you. Mildly amused, I turned the page. Tucked between the cryptic little couplet and the end paper were 3 Instax pictures. In case you don't know, Instax minus are basically Fujifilm's answer to Polaroid cameras. For some reason, I love the absolute out of mine. Since Christmas, I've probably spent more money on film than on coffee. The first photo showed a beaming man on my front porch, arms slung around his kids. It had to be the family who owned the house before me, because I recognized everything. Familiar climbing roses snaked up the columns, and my fat flower basket hung from the front beam. Even on paper, the family's joy was infectious. It made me smile. The next photo showed the kids together. The girl was a little older, with her father's apple cheeks and guileless smile. The boy looked timid, almost frightened. Something about him tugged my heartstrings. I know what it's like to be anxious in front of a camera. I love taking pictures, but I hate being in them. I tucked it aside and checked the last photo. My breath caught. It was me. Me trying to smile, but really just grimacing. I stood underneath the flower basket. The man was sitting on the top step, and I had his arms wrapped around my hips. The little girl stood to the side, internally frozen in a truly impressive eye roll. A low pitter-patter sounded behind me. I rolled around and swept my flashlight across the room. Shadows stretched and jumped, clustering in corners and dancing along the long expanse of a hall. But that's all they were, shadows, with a lovely accompaniment of scurrying rats. I snapped the book shut and practically ran toward the ladder. I accidentally clipped one of the beds, sending it scraping across the floor. My foot sank into another puddle of wet rot. Feeling high and almost buzzy, I looked down. A long tangle of wet black hair lay curled in the puddle. My foot had pressed several strands into the mushy wood beneath. It looked like a cross between vomit and wet fossil. I darted away and scrambled up the ladder. The second I reached the kitchen, I kicked off my soggy shoes and ran outside. To my horror, the porch looked exactly the same as it did in the photos. Climbing roses, flower baskets, kitschy little decor accents. They all belonged to me. I clearly remember putting them all up myself. So how did they show up in the pictures of the other family? I'm not married, no boyfriend, even, and I mostly certainly have no kids. So what the heck was this? Someone's idea of a joke? I shuddered, then set the book on the porch. I carefully flipped through it, scanning for things I might have missed. Photos, drawings, words, anything at all. Toward the end, I noticed something strange. The opening lines. The people who come after you are the people who come after you. I had shifted to the second to the last page. The very last page now bore an itchy, scratchy sort of watercolor illustration. It showed a bookshelf in front of a locked door, half hidden by a coat of paint. Underneath the picture were the words, "The people who come after you dance and sing in hidden rooms." I slammed the book shut and took several steps back. Then I called my sister, Mariah, and I asked point blank if I had any kids or a husband. Her response was essentially, "LOL, what?" She asked if I was joking, then if I'd been drinking. My tension eased somewhat. Mariah's at my house all the time, and she's honestly my best friend. If she says I'm an unmarried, childless mountain dweller, then I can trust her. I played it off as a joke, to which I'd forgotten the punchline. Easier than it sounds when you're a ditz like me. And asked her to come over for lunch to scope my secret room. She was predictably enthused and agreed to swing by at noon with a pizza. I waited on my porch, splitting my attention between the photos and a picture book. I was too afraid to go back into the house alone. Mariah arrived 1:15, complaining about the crowd at the pizza parlor. She set the food on the porch and asked, "What are you looking at?" I hesitated briefly, then showed her the book. "Cute," she said. "Pointless, but cute." Then I showed her the photos. She scanned them agreeably until she came to the one with me. Her face lit up. "Are you going to be a stepmom? Oh my God, they're all so cute." "No," I took a deep breath, and I did my best to plan my words. "I don't know who they are. I found all this in the room under the kitchen." Judging by her expression, she thought I was playing a practical joke. "Are they all hiding in your house? Are we going to surprise me with your new family?" I led her to the underground room. Her merriment quickly darkened into unease. "You're not about to murder me or anything, are you?" She paused by the end table and picked up the stuffed turtle. She gave it a shake, then tossed it on the sofa. "Why is the floor so squishy? Did it flood down here or something?" Suddenly, muffled music drifted through the room. It sounded low and weird, almost watery. The hair on my neck prickled. I took a few steps forward, carefully sidestepping the greasy hair puddle, and listened. There was no question. The music was coming from behind the far wall. "This isn't funny," Maria said. "Well, maybe kind of, but not enough to justify the effort. Come on, we need to get out of here." "What? No, I want to see what's behind your scary bookshelf door." She strode forward and cried out as she slipped, tumbling onto the ground. Her hands sank into the wet hair. She pulled it up, eyes wide and horrified, as long tangles dangled from her fingers. I helped her to her feet and led her to the ladder, frightening the urge to scream as the music grew steadily louder. Mariah scrubbed her hands frantically, retching as the strands of hair slid off her fingers and into the sink. By the time she finished, the music had cut out. "I have to take a picture of this," she said. She whipped her phone out and pulled up the camera app. She framed the spot, then frowned. "What the heck? What?" She restarted the app, then tried again. "This is insane." I came up behind her and looked over her shoulder. The phone screen displayed a showroom. Quality kitchen floor, whole and very much in place. No holes, no missing boards, and certainly no hidden room. I tried my phone and had the same result. We both saw the hidden room with our own eyes, but the phone cameras had other ideas. I ran upstairs and grabbed my Instax camera. I quickly shot several photos. To my relief, each one showed the kitchen as it truly was, torn apart to reveal a subterranean living space. The excitement evaporated once the implication hit me. Mariah and I quickly left, but not before grabbing the pizza off the porch. I did call the police. The music indicates that someone is actually living there, and in hindsight, the grease puddles and loose hair scare me. Since it's a non-emergency case, dispatcher gave me an estimated call-out time of 6 hours. Seems a little excessive, but Mariah's letting me stay at her house until then. I don't know what's wrong with my house. I guess the cops will shed light on it in a couple of hours, but that doesn't explain the pictures of me and the family that doesn't exist. I hate to whine and plead for help, but anyone have any ideas? Okay, that was an interesting story. Well, looks like there's a couple updates and stuff, but they're pretty long. So we'll wait until next week's video, and I'll read the rest of them if I can then. So stay tuned for that. Well, let's talk about the build, I guess, a little bit, since we got some time left before it's over. So when I was building this, I guess you could see in the beginning that I had to like not redo it, but edit it some, because it was just kind of weird at the slanted part where like the door is. It's supposed to be one window there, and it didn't like work out right because there was no one block windows with shutters, and it would have just looked weird if there was no shutters there. So I just had to redo it, I guess, and it didn't take me that long. It wasn't that hard at all. But the roof, though, was terrible, because we have like diagonal like roofing and stuff like that, which is great, but they don't like connect. Like you can't really like connect them with the regular roofing to have like a nice good corner. So the roofing is not good at all. I tried my best with it to make it look good, but it doesn't look exactly like it should, just because of that fact. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas of how I can make it look better, leave them in the comments and I'll edit the build and try and make them look better. For this though, I didn't do the apartment, or I didn't build the candy shop next to Luke's diner, but I think maybe in future videos I'll do one where I do Luke's apartment, and then I'll do another one where I do the candy shop. But I think I'll make those in 2 separate lots, not together with Luke's Diner, so that way you can download them separately if you would like, because I feel like that's a lot on one lot, and I don't want it to be super laggy or anything. And I'm not too sure exactly about the candy shop or how to make that, because we don't really have like candy in The Sims. Not really. We have like a snow cone machine thing that you can get with the summer stuff and whatnot, but we don't really have like candy stuff or soda, I mean, to put in the soda shop. So we'll see about that. And I was thinking of maybe eventually doing the town square with like the gazebo and all that to make it look real cute and stuff, and make it like a little park and stuff like that, because I feel like it would look really pretty with seasons. And yeah, let me know some more ideas of what you guys would like to see. I already have next week's build ready. It's going to be a modern family farmhouse, so get ready for that. I think it looks a lot better than my first build, or my first house that I posted on here. So hopefully it is a lot better. I think personally is. I think it's an adorable house, and I love it a lot. So we'll see. So just stay tuned and look out for the modern family farmhouse, where you can get an update of I found a secret room under my kitchen. I think something lives there. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I think what we're gonna do now is let some music take over, because you're probably tired of hearing my voice. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you all next week. Bye.